Okay. So Sechaba, let's just start. Okay, yeah. So good afternoon, dear distinguished guests and today's presenters. And first of all, I would like to show our sincere welcome to joining today's meeting, and it's WAITROSummit2024 and breakout session about enabling local solutions achieving global impact. And a quite brief introduction for myself. I'm Miao from Biology and Medicine Department of NICE JITRI. And today I'm the modulator of the first module of our session. And today's session is also co-organized by CSIR from in South Africa. So Mr. Sechaba is also from this organization. And today's session aims to develop strategies for WAITRO and its global RTO network to enable indigenous societies to build wealth from their innovations. And it will simultaneously help innovative leaders to learn from the experiences of their peers across the continents and all over the world. And therefore, that is why today in our session, we have invited the leaders from the research institutes as well as the key project companies from our NICE JITRI innovative ecosystem. And also, there are many students who are very interested in this topic also here today. And so hopefully the session today will bring a lot of experience and innovative ideas to our audience. Okay, now let's proceed with the official agenda with our module 1. And in this module, the presenters will share experience and the case studies of successful commercialization of indigenous technologies. And first, we have Mr. Sechaba from CSIR, South Africa, to deliver an opening speech of this forum. Please, everyone, give him a warm welcome.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Press this one. Yeah. Okay. Good afternoon once again. I hope you had a good lunch. My name is Sechaba Bareetseng from CSIR, Council for Scientific and Industrial Research in South Africa. I'm the Indigenous Knowledge Systems Program Manager at the CSIR. So today I'll be sharing with you the CSIR experience in commercializing technologies derived from indigenous knowledge systems. So just a bit of a background about the CSIR. We are the government institution established in terms of the Scientific Research Council Act. We are mandated to conduct a multidisciplinary research and technology development in collaboration with local universities, other science councils or research institutions, private sector companies, as well as local communities. And also, most importantly, we collaborate globally as well with global research institutions in supporting the South African government in achieving its or in overcoming the socioeconomic challenges, such as job creation, inequality and poverty alleviation. So this is our mandate in terms of the Scientific Research Council. So this is our vision. Our vision is to accelerate South Africa's socioeconomic development through innovation, and these are the values. Collaboration is key to the work that we do, and then also excellence in conducting research and development, integrity and people also very important, are central to our values. And so CSIR, in 2019, CSIR adopted the new strategy to amplify the I in the acronym here. So mainly to conduct a research and development that is intentional, meaning that it must contribute to industrial development, it must support private sector companies in achieving their business goals. So those are the four strategic objectives of the CSIR. I'm not going to go through them. And so in terms of the indigenous systems within the CSIR, so it plays a critical role in preserving and promoting indigenous knowledge in South Africa, and then we do that through compliance with the national laws on indigenous knowledge systems, as well as access and benefit sharing to develop safe and quality products that can be commercialized through private sector companies. So we reported to the Department of Science and Innovation in South Africa that provides us with funding, and of course we also get funding from other government's department as well as international collaborations, especially when we collaborate across the borders. So how do we collaborate with the rural communities, including the traditional health practitioners? So they approach CSIR in connection with their traditional medicine product, like plant-based traditional medicine products, which have long history of use, meaning that have been using them for many years to treat a variety of human diseases. So the first point of contact is to finalize the legal framework that comprises of the non-disclosure agreement, material transfer agreement, and benefit sharing agreement. And then why communities, including the traditional health practitioners, approach the CSIR? Because they want to generate scientific data based on their traditional medicine product. Right? If they say their medicine is good for treating Alzheimer's disease, so this is where we come in. We have biological assays that can actually substantiate the uses of that. So they want to generate data, scientific data. And then also the reason why also they're approaching the CSIR is they want to register their products, they want to make money, meaning that they want also to register businesses and then make money. They want to be recognized as indigenous knowledge holders and for their contribution in research and development. And then also they want to protect their indigenous knowledge or traditional knowledge. So for the CSIR, on the other hand, we want to fulfill our mandate, also support our government in implementing the biotechnology policy. At the CSIR, in terms of the research, in terms of the Scientific Research Act, we are allowed to make a profit, and then also recognized as one of the leading research institutions in terms of adding value to indigenous knowledge systems through research and development. And then we want to innovate because we believe that indigenous knowledge can help us as researchers to innovate by coming up with high-value technologies that can be taken up by the market. And then also the conservation of the biodiversity, very important, capacity building. And then also we need to share the benefits with the communities. So this is one of the case studies I would like to share with you. So we were approached by a group of traditional health practitioners in connection with this medicinal plant species called Lipia javanica. So what they use this plant, they use it to treat a whole lot of variety of diseases, from cough, flu, right? And then also they use it to repel the mosquitoes, not to kill the mosquitoes, but to repel the mosquitoes on their dwellings. Like they harvest the plant, they dry it, and they burn it, and they smoke that comes out of that repels the mosquitoes from entering the house. So based on that traditional knowledge, then we then designed a research and development program to investigate the traditional uses of this plant species, Lippia javanica, for mosquito repellency. We then identified the chemical compound that is actually responsible for repelling that mosquito repellency, and then which was you look, okay, which was then patented and protected through patents, and then the traditional health practitioners we entered into benefit sharing agreements with the traditional health practitioners, and then we obtained the bioprospecting permit in terms of the Biodiversity Act. So, and then we, after the research and development, we then formulated the chemical compound into a candle, right? That has that plant extract containing that chemical compound. And we then transferred the technologies to communities of Giani in Limpopo. It is on the northern part, because this plant grows in the northern part of Limpopo in Giani. That's where the problem of mosquitoes, even malaria. So we transferred the technology to these communities to establish the community enterprises for the commercialization, for the cultivation of these medicinal plants, and then we trained the communities on the best practice on how to cultivate, and then also do oil distillation, and then candle manufacturing. And then the next case involved the African ginger, Siphonophilus aethiopicus, or wild ginger. So also we identified this plant through collaboration with the rural communities of Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and then KwaZulu-Natal provinces in South Africa. They use this plant to treat also flu, malaria, and different types of pain, and then as well as asthma. And we conducted an extensive research and development from biological studies to chemical characterization, and we developed the process technology and optimized. And then in that process, we generated several patents from research and development. And then now this plant species is currently at phase 1 clinical studies to develop it as a complementary medicine that will treat asthma. So this plant species is really, it's liked by many herbalists, right? And then as a result, it is now overextinct due to overharvesting. Okay, and then we established, from that perspective, we established the cultivation facility to conserve this plant species. And then we are working with the farmers. This is where we are cultivating it in Mpumalanga, so that when we enter commercial phase, so we have enough plant material that will be supplied into the GMP facility to manufacture complementary medicines that will be registered by our Health Product Regulatory Authority. This is me there with the farmer planning our cultivation facility. And then, yeah, from the research perspective, I'm also involved in the academic research. So this project, I attached a master's student on indigenous knowledge systems to investigate how indigenous knowledge systems can be used to conserve the plant species. So the student graduated with a distinction, and then we produced a paper in 2022. So to show how indigenous knowledge can contribute to conservation of this plant. And then the other one, this is my last one, is called ketone. In Sepedi, they call it mulmonate. Direct translation is sweet mouth. So this plant species has got a lot of belief system. Communities believe that when they eat the root of the plant, that they will win court cases. Like a guy, if eats the root of the plant, a girl will fall in love with him. Remember my talk this morning. IKS is about also the belief system. But how do you validate that? So we tested the root of the plant. It's actually sweet, right? So as a researcher, immediately it raises research questions to say what makes this plant sweet, right? Then we identified that chemical compound monatoin, and then we licensed this technology to a pharmaceutical company in the US, so they will be developing this as a natural sweetener. Right? And then we finalized the benefit sharing agreement, and 3 years ago we received the royalties from the company, which we had shared with the communities. It was 2.6 million that we shared with the Shongwani community. There are 2 communities that we have identified which are linked to this plant species. So we shared the monetary benefits with them, and the same with Seneca. And then also the traditional healers. Here we are providing a service. So traditional healers, they formulated their traditional medicine product, but they are not standardized. They lack scientific data. So what we do is we optimize it. We optimize the entire traditional medicine product to ensure it is safe, quality, and efficacious. It's the same way with the Chinese traditional medicine, how they have managed to commercialize them. They optimize the entire extract, develop it into a medicine, and then commercialize, and then you package it. So this was to support the traditional health practitioners. So we had received funding from the Department of Science and Innovation to provide that kind of support and transfer this product to the traditional healers, and then we train them in the process to become entrepreneurs so that they're able to commercialize these products. So we developed this packaging with them. They expressed interest that this is the type of packaging they wanted, and then we sat down and then we designed and then packaged, and these products have been developed under GMP. So these are the legal framework that govern the research and development that we do at the CSIR. So I'm not going to go through them. So, but the most important thing here is we have the indigenous knowledge systems policy of 2007, even the patent act, they've been amended to protect indigenous knowledge, the bioeconomy strategy, biodiversity economy. So these laws have actually unlocked the funding opportunities that we've managed to source to support the rural communities, traditional health practitioners, and to conduct research that we do on medicinal plants to come up with these technologies that we're able to commercialize through private sector partnership. Thank you.
Okay, is there any maybe short questions from the audience? And you can also speak Chinese because we have the translator here. 也可以说中文，如果是有OK, yeah, please.
So, very interesting. So these roots or whatever, this is, you came to a community and...
This one?
Yeah, for example, the previous one. You came to the community and you had an agreement with a village or a community, or there were specific people, researchers, or people at the community that did this research? How did it work? Who brought the idea and who actually did the research and development?
Actually, we identified this plant through community engagement, right? So we were exploring the plant species that we can develop as food products. And then, as we were engaging with the communities in Limpopo, we came across this plant. They introduced this plant to us. They said, you know, Sechaba, if you eat these roots and then you have a court case, you gotta win. I said, how? You see, it's a belief. You see? And then also, if you eat the root of this plant, the girl is gonna fall in love with you. Oh, really? It's a belief. And then you see, because out of curiosity, I said, let's taste it. Right? And then I chewed it, this plant, the root of the plant. I was surprised that the root of the plant is sweet. I said, no, there's something here. What makes this plant sweet? Obviously, from the chemical point of view, there are chemical compounds that are responsible for that. Hence, the curiosity to really investigate that. Actually, we found that the sweetness of the technology that we have developed is 14 times sweeter than the normal sugar that you take in the tea or coffee. So then we beneficiate communities. We entered into legal frameworks to ensure that we protect their knowledge. We recognize them in scientific papers, in patents, as well as they benefit when we start commercializing the technology derived that. That is the technology that we have patented.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Jonathan from Kenya. Very interesting presentation. My question is, have you now leveraged AI in getting the awareness about this across a wide scope? I mean, do you have databases of producers of these plants, the benefits of these plants? And if I was ill in Kenya and I want to know there is a plant that can cure me in South Africa, would I know that? Thank you.
Yes, we have a database of all the plant species that were introduced to us by rural communities, right? And then have recorded the indigenous knowledge information, like the part of the plant they use, where this plant is being harvested, and the traditional uses, and the dosage which communities use, how they prepare it as a traditional medicine. So that information in itself constituted the intellectual property of communities. So we have developed the database, right? And that database is password protected, and then I'm the only one at the CSIR that has access to it. So this is how we protect this indigenous knowledge. So in South Africa, in terms of the constitution of the country, no one owns the plant. Plant species are owned by government, right? So if, for instance, you are from Kenya, you are interested in this plant. So in terms of the law, Biodiversity Act, you will need to collaborate with the CSIR. Okay, for you to be able to have that requisite permit. We call it bioprospecting permit when you commercialize. So when you conduct basic research, that when you need to submit a notification to the Minister of Environmental Affairs. So it is possible if you are interested, but you will need to collaborate with the local institution for you to be able to access the plant for research or commercialization purpose. And then the local institution will support you in ensuring that you comply with the local legislation by ensuring that communities benefit through the legal framework that needs to be put in place. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Patrick Dias from CSIR Australia. We do quite a lot of work with CSIR South Africa.
Yeah.
Just a quick question about the commercialization process. Now, we did a project with you all regarding the commercialization pathways. Have you had any issues related to this dealing with these communities, indigenous communities in your commercialization approach?
Yes. Yeah. No, we had. I'm sure you are aware of the famous story, the Hodia story of the 1990s. That's when, at the time, South Africa didn't have any legislation on indigenous knowledge, on community rights protection, benefit sharing. And then even at the global level, we didn't have the Convention on Biological Diversity. We didn't have the Nagoya Protocol on access and benefit sharing. So the CSIR then identified a plant called Hodia from the San community, because they used that plant species as a source of food to sustain them during the hunting season. So CSIR conducted research, identified the chemical compound, and then a novel chemical compound, which was then patented, and then we licensed it to Phytofarm, right? So out of that, the San community became aware, and that's when the whole bad publicity came out, says CSIR stole the knowledge of the San communities. So this information is there on the internet. People have written publications about it, hence I'm able to speak about it freely. So from that experience, that was the big challenge. And then we couldn't really derive the benefits of that technology licensing. And then, so our licensee returned all the technology to us to say, no, we are not going to be involved. And that experience triggered the South African government to develop the IKS policy, to develop the Biodiversity Act, and then also to amend the existing patent laws to recognize indigenous knowledge systems. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. If not, then thank you very much for your wonderful opening speech for the forum. Yeah. And next, yeah. Then next, let's welcome Laura from Ecoflora, Colombia, to deliver her speech for us. Thank you.
So thank you. Thanks to all for coming. For us, on behalf of Ecoflora, for us it's an honor to be here, sharing with you our case study of Jagua Blue, a natural colorant from Colombia to the world. So Ecoflora is a company from Colombia. We are the fourth country with the greatest biodiversity in the world. We have more than 37,000 plant species, of which more than 14% are endemic and almost 5% are exotic, which make our country an explosion of unique life, like a living pharmacy. We at Ecoflora take advantage of these natural conditions of our country to become a bio-innovation factory, which offers local solutions with a global impact. A little bit of our history. Ecoflora was founded in 1998. In our country, we are pioneers of sustainable bio-innovations, thanks to the creation of a portfolio with a business model and supply chains with a triple net positive impact, not only for the industry, but also for the environment and the communities which we work with. Through our products in Ecoflora, we work closely with local communities to develop a sustainable supply chain of natural raw materials in order to produce products like the Jaguar Blue and other products that are part of our portfolio. At the same time, we generate novel incentives for the regeneration and conservation of the tropical forests from our country. Specifically talking about our Jaguar Blue, a global breakthrough in natural colors for the food and beverage industry specifically. Jaguar Blue is a natural color that we obtain from the fruit of a native tree from Colombia that is called Genipa americana. It is its scientific name, or Jaguar is the common name. Ecoflora invented, developed, and patented the natural blue, which we extract from that fruit, from that native tree from our country. I think that all of us have heard about the theory of colors, which says that with only 3 primary colors, it is possible to obtain all the rainbow colors. That 3 primary colors are yellow, red, and blue. And that's why the Jaguar, or the blue, specifically the color blue in the food and beverage industry, was called as the missing holy grail, because before the Jaguar Blue, that industry didn't have a stable to acidic pH and high temperatures natural colorant available to produce all the colors from the rainbow in the different applications of the food and beverage industry. There are some examples of what now we can do thanks to the Jaguar Blue. Not only blue hues are possible in all the food and beverage applications, but also pinks, purples, or green hues by mixing the Jaguar Blue with other natural colorants like cochineal, like turmeric, or black carrot. The first ones to take advantage of this property, natural property of the fruits, were the indigenous communities from our country. They noticed that if they produce the juice from the fruit in its unripe state, not ripe, unripe state, and apply that juice over the skin, after almost 8 hours, the skin turns blue, like in the pictures that you can see. They used to do it not only for a decorative purpose, but also because the Jaguar juice has an insecticide property to keep the mosquitoes away, to avoid the bites from the mosquitoes. So they did that for both purposes, for their rituals and also because the mosquitoes, to keep the mosquitoes away. But how is this chemically possible? Why, if you put the juice from the Jaguar unripe fruit, your skin will turn blue? This is the Jaguar when it's unripe. If you cut the Jaguar by the middle, you can see internally blue lines. This is because the Jaguar has a compound that is called genipin. This genipin has the ability to react with amino groups from proteins, from lipids, from any fount of amino groups. And after that reaction, we can obtain a polymeric complex from reddish to purple hues. This is the chemical explanation of the temporary tattoos that the indigenous can obtain in their skin. At Ecoflora, we develop, or we understand, that by mixing specifically the genipin from the fruit with the glycine as the source of the amino group, the production of a blue, like the synthetic blue number 2 in the food and beverage industry, is optimized, mixing the genipin with specifically what kind of amino acid. This is the Jagua Blue, the powder version, and in some solutions with different concentration. And in the right side, it is the synthetic option that was before the Jagua Blue. So now talking a little about how Ecoflora developed a reliable supply chains for this fruit. We started in 2010 when Ecoflora was looking for the trees that were available in our country. We found that all the trees were wild and they belong to rural local communities, that, like, for example, the indigenous communities. That's why we have to request an access to genetic resources with our environmental minister in Colombia. We still have that permission in order to take advantage of the fruit from that wild trees, which are our mainly supplying source in this moment. Then in 2014, we started with some experimental plantations and plots in order to understand what are the best soil, environmental, and agricultural conditions that the trees needs in order to optimize the production of fruit and also the production of genipin in that fruit, because all the trees were wild. So we started in an experimental plantation to understand what need the tree and what need the fruit in order to produce the genipin. In that time, we realized that actually the Jagua tree there are Jagua trees female and males, and only the females can produce the Jagua, which turns 9 months in order to be ready for the harvesting, because after 9 months from the flowering, it is perfect to produce the Jagua blue colorant. After understand that, in 2015, we collected information regarding seeds germination, plants reproduction protocols, and agrotechnology package in order to start our first plantation of Jagua in 2019. This was possible thanks to a sponsorship we won from the British government in 2019 through an organization that is called Partnerships for Forest. They sponsored to plant the first 100 of trees in our country with 100 families, local families. In that moment, we signed an agreement, a conservation agreement, because we gave them the trees and the technical support in order to plant the trees. And as exchange, they gave us, and still they are giving that, they committed to preserve the land where they planted the Jagua. Most of the family in the past were cattle ranches. They used that lands for that purpose, but then with the Jagua, they signed an agreement, they committed to preserve that land, not for cattle ranch. And since 2019 until today, we still preserve that agreement with that farmers' families. First one, thanks to the sponsorship I mentioned from the British government, and then thanks to another sponsorship we won from the Swiss government. This is the map of our current suppliers from Jagua fruit. They are not only wild trees, they are also plant trees. Actually, this year, we obtained the first fruit from the trees we planted 4 years ago. These are some testimonials of some of the farmers which we work with. These are the Jaguar tree 2 years ago, sorry. Now they are bigger because they are already producing the fruits. And final, the contribution that Ecoflora has to the Sustainable Development Goals, mainly through the work that we are doing with the communities, are in these goals. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Laura. And is there any questions from the audience? 用中文也是可以的，就是中英文都可以。
Very interesting. So you said you mix it with glycine. I'm just wondering, so is it more like a raw material, or now you're working to make it into a more high-value chemical that can be used in other high-value products?
At this moment, with mixing the Jaguar juice with genipin, we have a very stable for pH and temperature a natural color, which is a hydrosoluble at this moment. The next step we are thinking is to produce the oil soluble version, because there are also some applications, mainly in cosmetics, which needs this kind of solubility. But at this moment, the product that we already have a patent and optimizing our production plan is the version that is working. Actually, we are already selling this product.
Thank you, Laura, for...
Yeah, it's turned on.
Okay. Thank you, Laura, for your presentation. It's very interesting. I worked in plant breeding in the past, and I have a question about the trees. You mentioned that you have female and male trees as well.
Yeah.
And do you have male trees around to promote the pollination,
Yeah.
pollination of the female trees? Because you know the pollen to pollinate the female flowers in order to get the fruits. Is there any solution around the pollination, or it is natural pollinated? It's pollinated by the wind or bees or any other insects, and how the people is protecting the environment to keep the pollinators.
Yeah, actually, we need both females and males at this moment, because the pollination methods are naturally. We are investigating about the other alternatives to that naturally pollination processes, but at this moment we need both female and males. I'm going to talk you asked.
Are the trees pollinated by wind or
by
bees
wind.
or any other
By
insects?
wind, yeah. And regarding the conservation of the environmentals, the families which we are work with, we signed an agreement, a conservation agreement. They are receiving right now payments for environmental services in order to keep their area conserved. Don't change any to that natural process.
Okay, if there's no further questions, then we thank you very much for Laura. Okay, now please warmly welcome Emmanuel, right? Emmanuel from CENAT, Costa Rica, to make a speech for us.
Okay, let's check the sound. Is everything okay? Yeah, thank you very much for attending this session. Thank you, WAITRO, for inviting and also for inviting me for this session. Also want to thank CTA in Colombia, my colleagues in Colombia, because they did a very hard work to be here. It was like a race, but we did it. Thank you, Jaime. Thank you, Marta. Okay. Where do we have to point? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm going to talk about how we are using industrial wastes to promote sustainable agriculture and developing novel biostimulants. First of all, I want to introduce who is CENAT. CENAT is the National Center of High Technology in Costa Rica, and it's a program of the National Dean of Councils that is the highest institution promoting the regulations and the high education in Costa Rica. So we interact a lot also with universities, companies, and the government. We are made of 5 units or 5 labs. CENIBIOT is the biotechnology section, or the biotechnology department where I work. We also have RIAS, that is Earth Observations. CNCA is Advanced Computing. We have the Nanotechnology Lab as well, and we also have Environmental Management. So that's the way CENAT is made of. Okay, some Costa Rican facts. We are the home of about 60% of the world species. So we are actually some kind of famous because of biodiversity and conservation. Actually, about 28 to 30% of our land territory is protected is in protected areas. We have reverse deforestation, increasing forest cover, and in 2019, the government launched a program or a plan to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. So the planning aims to reform transport, energy waste, and land use. And we are in that field, in land use. About agriculture, because the greatest markets of our agricultural products are in the United States and Europe, reaching about 80%. But we have some challenges to produce in Costa Rica. One of these is the biological degradation of soils, because many years using always chemical products. Maintenance of production in the same area, but more degraded than years before. Demanding international markets to reduce agrochemicals. People is aware about healthier food production. And internally, we have some lacks, approval to import or to produce new molecules, more environmental friendly. And that's something that our farmers are fighting every year, trying to get new products, trying to produce more environmentally friendly. But the government sometimes delays the approval of new molecules or new products. And the increasing of prices in agrochemicals. Well, some other pressures that we have is, for example, as I mentioned it, a great proportion of our markets are in Europe, and we have the European Green Deal that is searching to more sustainable production from the countries they buy the products. And we are here in the farm to fork section, maybe talking about agriculture. It's healthy and environmentally friendly food. But the other pressure that we have is that we are in the top 10 countries using pesticides per area. We have more than in the category of more than 10 kilograms per hectare of use of pesticides. And in this slide, I can show you the position of Costa Rica. Our most recent report made internally in the country, it says that we are about 10 kilograms of pesticides per hectare. And that's why we are among the top 10 countries. So thinking about these challenges, we have a group of people working in local solutions using Bioles. Bioles is a liquid formulation obtained from the fermentation of plant and animal waste. Why plant and animal waste? Because we use, for example, rice semolina, we use buttermilk. But this fermentation is a complex mixture of molecules and communities of microorganisms, both with responses on plants and their productivity. One important thing is that this local knowledge is produced on site. People is producing these biostimulants on their farms. Okay? We use, as I mentioned, we use rice semolina, that's a byproduct from the rice industry, buttermilk from the dairy industry, molasses from sugarcane industry. And something interesting is that the local knowledge is that you are supposed to go to the mountains, to undisturbed forest, and you bring the leader from this mountain to promote the growth of microorganisms with a biostimulant effect. For example, nitrogen-fixing bacteria or phosphorus-solubilizing bacteria, or some microorganisms with a biocontrol effect. And yes, we use fertilizers. Fertilizers are used in the process, but the important thing is that fertilizers become more efficient when it's combined with these products in the fermentation process. I'll show some data in the next slides. Okay, as I mentioned it's in in-farm productions, it's microbial, and we have found that also chemical or metabolite biostimulants. We made fertilizers more efficient, and this is a source of new molecules and novel biological inputs for agriculture. This is just a resume about the process. We go to the forest. As I mentioned, this is the local knowledge. That is the main idea that farmers are promoting. We combine it with rice semolina. We'll also use the molasses, the buttermilk, and there is a fermentation process. Okay, so what we did, we said, okay, let's go into what is happening during the fermentation process, what is happening when you use Bioles, but we need to measure it. We need scientific data, validated scientific data. Because, you know, the knowledge of people, they say, okay, Bioles are working for me. We see the benefits, but why they see the benefits? And there are only few papers or theses talking about Bioles. And it's almost a local knowledge, mainly in Costa Rica, and some reports in South America as well. But we say, okay, let's put some science on this to see what is happening with Bioles. This is a 3 years trial comparing the conventional chemical management with the biological management, with biological using Bioles. Here we went with our canister after the fermentation process. They went to a farm. Actually, the research was made on 3 different farms, but the data that I will present is only from one of those farms, because if not, it's a lot of data. And the application started. This is application is about 3 to 4 times a year. And then we had some data. In Costa Rica, coffee is measured by boxes, this kind of boxes of beans per hectare. That's the way yield is measured. And we have here the chemical, the conventional chemical management. This is the combination of chemical and the biological. It means bioles. Biological 1, it's only bioles. And biological 2, it's bioles with compost. And we found that when we use bioles or bioles combined with compost, yield is similar to the conventional chemical treatment. But something interesting is the exportable dry grain. It's the final product. It's the product from which the farmer get the revenue. It's the same. But we had a reduction of the production of reduction of cost and also reduction of fertilizers. This is another example that we did in lettuce. It's the application of bioles versus chemical management. Well, we established, in lettuce, we established 2 independent experiments, and the result was always the same. In this case, we measured 2 important traits. It's the number of edible leaves, the amount of leaves that you have when you buy a lettuce. And this is the chemical treatment. The number of leaves was lower when we use the bioles or bioles combined with bacteria promoting nitrogen fixation and phosphorus solubilization. And in this side, we have the fresh weights of lettuces. The chemical had the least fresh weight of the lettuces, and the biological was working fine, but surprisingly, when we combine the chemical with bacteria, the fresh weight was the highest. So that's a result that we didn't expect, honestly talking, but it's interesting because if somebody is using or somebody has some rejection or is not very convinced to use bioles, for example, another option is to use bacteria to complement the fertilization. Okay, in this characterization of bioles, we also did the characterization of bioles using metagenomics and metabolomics approaches to know what is happening. Again, the people always say it works for me. We know it has microorganisms. People say that bioles make a kind of, that bioles chelates the fertilizers, but it's a very complex question to answer. But we know that when we incorporate fertilizers in the fermentation process, the fertilizers become more efficient, okay? But it's a question that we still have to answer, what is chemically happening in that fermentation process. Now, what we know is that the community of bacteria is mainly dominated by the Lactobacilli family. It's the family containing lactobacillus or the lactic acid bacteria. And we know that chemically is very complex. Something interesting is the amount of small peptides contained in bioles. And small peptides are documented to be interesting sorts of molecules to promote plant growth and development. So that's something that interesting that we found. We also found that there is a lot of molecules that cannot be identified by now with metabolomics approaches. So we are in front of a local knowledge that people know that works, that we already know that it works, that we have some scientific evidence about how it works, but also a new source of discovery, a source for the discovery of new molecules that can be used as novel plant biostimulants. Okay, something important is that this knowledge has been transferred to farmers through cooperation projects. In this project, it's been founded by the IACIT, by the European Union in the Adelante 2 framework. And this is, we have a collaborator, this is the CIB in Colombia, is the Corporation for Biological Research, and also the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences. And we are transferring this knowledge. We are getting information about how people are using these biostimulants, how people are using microbial biostimulants or biological inputs, to know how are they doing this. And then we are going to take some samples and use metagenomic approaches to know what is being promoted, microbiologically speaking, what they are incorporating in their agricultural systems. And then, yes, here we organized meetings with farmers. We talked about the project. We made some surveys as well. And we collected some information from them. And then we will bring back the information to the farmers, because they have the right to know what is happening with the samples that we are processing. Okay, Bioles, as some conclusion of our research is that similar or higher yield and better grain quality of coffee beans and lettuce compared only with chemical fertilization. But we estimated a reduction of both production costs around 20 to 30%, and chemical fertilizers by 40 to 50%. And coffee cup quality improved as well, the higher quality of the nutrition content of lettuces. Actually, the content, for example, of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium in lettuces was better using Bioles compared to only the chemical fertilization. The knowledge is relatively easy to transfer. At least in coffee, we have cooperative models, and the cooperatives promote interaction with farmers, and they promote a space to transfer this knowledge to people. It's relatively easy to do that. Okay, talking about the characterization of Bioles, it's sort of novel molecules. So we start to see Bioles as a biorefinery for molecules to search for new molecules. Also sorts of novel microbes. We now have a collection of microbes with plant biostimulant screened for plant biostimulants like nitrogen fixation and phosphorus solubilization. Easy to transfer through local governments supporting sustainable agriculture. Actually, the Ministry of Agriculture in Costa Rica, it's now writing a framework, a strategy about the use of biological products in Costa Rica. So That's why we are also interacting and we are talking with decision makers in the ministry to extend, to promote, to extend the use of these practices. And the revalorization of residues is feasible and low cost with benefits to the environment and also to the economy of families producing, for example, coffee. Okay, from the project, let's check my time. From the project founded by the European Union, we collected some information of farmers in Costa Rica, and it's very interesting because talking about the use of these biological products, the economy category is not now a big deal, but they are mainly concerned about environmental protection, especially protection of soils. And also human health and production, maybe improve quality of products and sustain current production. Okay, where should we go? We are thinking about improvement of production in controlled conditions. As I mentioned it, biogas as biorefineries, scaling up and development of extraction methods to generate new formulations and then field testing. That's where we are thinking to go with this knowledge. Okay, thanks for your attention, and all of these organizations I want to acknowledge during the process of, or during the development of the project that is still ongoing and still many questions to answer, but also a more defined strategy that we already have established to continue with this project. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's a very impressive overview for the agriculture in Costa Rica. And any questions from the audience? Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Emmanuel, for the presentation. I'm Julian Gefak from University of Yaoundé 1, Cameroon. It's a very interesting topic. Bio and conventional fertilizer, what is the difference? Because sometimes you said the conventional fertilizer just nourish the soil, the plant, and not the soil. In your case, bio are nourishing the plant and the soil?
You mean what is happening in the soil?
Yeah.
Yeah. The microbial communities are changing, and the diversity of different taxons in the soil, it's improving. It's not easy to measure. We need several years to measure the impact on soil. Yeah. So, but what we have found is that there is an interaction at the rhizosphere level with different the number of taxons and the number of microbes interacting at the rhizosphere level are improving probably the uptake of nutrients. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you have a very degraded soil, is it going to help?
Yeah, yeah.
Bio is going to help.
Yeah, that's one of the questions that we still need to answer more deeply.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now it's only biostimulant. What about pesticide view? If it is infected by pathogens, is bio can control the pathogen?
Yeah. In this research, the use of the control of diseases in lettuce, the trial in lettuce is in an organic form. So they use some other preparations, some other products, biological products for the biocontrol of diseases. In the case of coffee, they maintain the chemical treatments.
They maintain the chemical treatment and
Yeah,
use
that is a variable that we didn't consider. We focus on the fertilization, but of course, we have to integrate some other approaches, like, for example, using trichoderma. We know in Costa Rica, coffee farmers are using trichoderma for biocontrol, yeah. And actually in CENAT, in collaboration with the University of Costa Rica, we are working on endophytes. Endophytes that we are using endophytes as vaccines for coffee plants to reduce chemical.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So if there's no further questions, thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. The next speech comes from Shingirai from HG&H Pharmaceuticals, South Africa. And please give her warm welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry. My name is Shingirai Katsinde. I'm from South Africa, from a company called HG&H Pharmaceuticals. We are a company that has managed to commercialize Sciletium plants into a plant extract called Zembrin. So this Zembrin is the name of the plant extract that we have produced as a company. A bit of background and history about Sciletium, or Zembrin as it is. So Zembrin is a Sciletium plant extract, and Sciletium species are native to sub-Saharan Africa. In our case in South Africa, it comes from the Northern Cape and Western Cape provinces of South Africa. So right at the bottom of South Africa, or right at the bottom of the continent of Africa, is where we find Sciletium plants originating. They're very drought resistant, they're very good, and they thrive in extreme hardcore conditions. So they were initially found in dry, arid areas of sub-Saharan Africa in South Africa. That is a picture of what Sciletium looks like. So the origins of Sciletium, it was originally, and it is originally used by the San people of South Africa. And it dates back to the 1600s. So in the 1600s, there is reported use of the plant in different scenarios. So children who were teething by the hunter-gatherers would use it when they went hunting. And there was reported use by a German philologist who came in the 1800s. And initially, they actually thought it was ginseng until they did further studies, and then they realized that it was totally different from ginseng. So what we did as a company was then to identify the species. So there's 8 Sciletium species, and there is 2 which are active, Sciletium tortuosum and Sciletium crassiculae. Of these 2 species, you can get different varieties of the Sciletium. So there is a variety that would, the one that we chose as a company is the one that gives you a calming effect. The one that is most popular around the world and in South Africa is the one that gives you an intoxicating effect. So as a company, we wanted to focus on mental health, and therefore we chose the unique alkaloid profile that gives you 4 alkaloids, mesembrinol, mesembrinone, mesembranol, and mesembrin. But we focused on the low mesembrin content Sciletium profile, which gives you a calming effect, and therefore Zembrin is currently used as a mental health extract, What it does is it gives you a calming effect, it gives you mood elevation without the intoxicating addictive properties that you find in the other variants of the Scilitium extracts. Zembrin offers experiential efficacy. We have a dual mode of action. The other one is an inhibitor, serotonin inhibitor, reuptake inhibitor, and the other one is phosphodiesterase activity inhibitor. So the product in itself is a studied product. So we have pharmacology, clinical and clinical studies. You can read more from my slides. I'm not going to go through it, but we basically have preclinical safety, toxicology, and clinical data, which proves that the product is a safe product to use, and we currently advise use from 25 to 50 milligram doses. This just talks to the safety and tolerability of the extract. Like I said, it has published pharmacology, so it is one of the most well-researched Scilitium extracts. We have clinical data to show that the product is well-studied. So there's different applications to the use of Zembrin as an extract. We can use it in dietary supplements, we can use it in foods, we can use it in pet food, you can use it in sports nutrition, you can use it in beverages and in snacks. There is different claims to the use of Zembrin. Our most, if I may say, our most applicable claim is the cognitive function. So Zembrin improves cognitive function in humans. There is applications in stress, there's applications in mood, applications in anxiety, applications in sleep, sports nutrition, and general experiential efficacy, mental health. In terms of regulatory and intellectual property status, Zembrin is sold worldwide. We have patents all around the world. We have patents which are also pending, but it is trademarked as Zembrin, as a lithium around the world. We sell Zembrin across the globe, but our major market is in the United States of America. That is just a picture to show you what our product looks like. So it's a powdered extract, and then what happens is what we sell is the powdered extract to different distributors, pharmaceutical companies, nutraceutical companies, who they make their own products. That is a product specification sheet. So our product is highly regulated, but also of high quality. We comply with European standards in terms of nutraceutical extracts, and we comply with all the regulations that have to do with nutraceutical extracts. This shows our global presence. Like I said, we have patents around the world, and we currently have about 8 distributors all around the world, from the United States, Switzerland, South Africa, where we're from, Australia, India, etc. We have more than 72 products that are branded to include Zembrin all around the world. The greatest achievement we have made so far is our sustainability story. This is what I'll spend most of my presentation on. So Zembrin is a Scilitium extract, and we acknowledge that the indigenous knowledge comes from the South African San people. That is where we obtained the knowledge of which product, which species to use in the development of our extract. So we are a socially responsible company. We are vertically integrated. There is full traceability of our botanical ingredient. The plant that we use is not obtained from the wild. So we have a very good cultivation system protocol in process, that where we actually farm, we have a seed bank that controls the quality of the product that comes out, and then we process the product until we get our extract. So we are sustainable in the way we produce our Scilitium extract. We are socially responsible. So Zembrin was the first product in South Africa to have obtained the first integrated export and bioprospecting permit from the South African government. What this means is that whenever we sell a kilogram of Zembrin, we go back and pay what we call royalties, which is attributed to the Nagoya Protocol. So we have an existing bioprospecting permit, we have an existing benefit sharing agreement with the South African Council. We pay royalty to the South African Council in acknowledgement of the indigenous knowledge that we've obtained from them. So nothing that we do is outside the acknowledgement and the respect of the indigenous or the traditional knowledge holders of this product. We have quite a number of endorsements. We are called the poster child of South Africa when it comes to biodiversity. We've been hailed at the UN Nagoya Conference by the South African Minister of Environment. We have what is currently called as the International Best Practice Benefit Sharing Agreement with the South African Sun Council of South Africa. And we are the only Scilitium extract that is endorsed by the South African Sun Council. So any product that you buy that has that logo, that one, it means that it's a Zembrin product. It is a Zembrin containing product that does pay royalties back to the indigenous knowledge holders. So in summary, Zembrin is clinically studied. It is fully traceable. It has self-affirmed grass in the United States. It's ecologically sustainable. It is low dose. So our dosing is at 25 milligrams. And because it is standardized, you are guaranteed to get a consistent dosing throughout all the products that you use. It is dual acting, so there's a dual mode of action in terms of the mechanism of action of the product. It's experiential, so you will feel it when you use it. It's socially responsible, safe, well-tolerated, and fast-acting. So you will feel it within the first 22 hours of using it. This is a brief outline of our manufacturing process. So like I said, it's very sustainable. So we have our own seed bank. So we have a farm where we contract the farming, and we are in full control of the farming process or the farming protocol. We sow the seeds, and then the farming happens until around October. So it's a 9-month process from germination to production. We then harvest it, send it for drying, we steam sterilize, and then we send it to our partners in Las Palmas for extraction at a GMP facility. That is it from my side. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any questions?
So what did you actually patent? Is it the composition, or it's a trade secret?
It is the composition, yes. So we have a unique alkaloid profile, and it's a standardized unique alkaloid profile. So the composition comes from the seed material, but also the process of standardization to produce that consistent alkaloid profile.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. What about the alliances? You show us that you have like a lot of partnerships around the world, right? Because mental health is something that is very, very a big issue right now. Is in the mouth of everyone, right? Do you have any alliances with, I don't know, NGOs or some non-profit that are actually working on mental health? Because that's the way that this kind of products can go like further and find more people, because yeah, it's not that easy, you know, and also because it's organic, it comes from plants, so it will be very important to know if you are reaching more people with other alliances or collaborations. I don't know.
Not non-governmental organizations yet. I think I'll definitely bring it up with the team back at home, but we do work with the local communities to support mental wellness. So in South Africa, we do work with local communities, especially the South African Sun Council and Sun communities from which the plant originates from. Our sustainability story, however, is part of our journey. So with all of our distributors, we do like to emphasize the need for being sustainable, for being socially responsible and equitable as well. But I will definitely bring it up in terms of non-governmental organizations. Sure.
Yeah, thank you for the interesting presentation. I have a question regarding the manufacturing process. So, do you have like industrial wastewater coming out of this process? This is one question. And second question is, what do you do with this water? I mean, the water coming out of the manufacturing process. What is the end use of it? Where do you put it? Do you discharge it? What do you do with it?
We have, with our partner, we do have an ESG program in place that takes care of that element. I will not be able to exactly tell you what it is, but if you give me 15 minutes, I'll be able to find out for you.
Why I'm asking is that because you're a pharmaceuticals right company, so most probably we would have emerging pollutants, some pharmaceutical residues and so on in the industrial wastewater coming out of the manufacturing. So that's why I'm asking: do you monitor the quality of the water coming out of your process? What do you do with it? So, I would appreciate it if you can answer me. Thank you so much. Interesting.
Sure. Yeah. Just to clarify, we are not a mainstream pharmaceutical company. We are more in the food nutraceutical space, so purely herbal medicines.
So, no further questions? Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so I think for the Q&A session, we have already a very active participation and insightful questions from the audience. And with that, I think we also should thank you very much for the presenters to sharing their experience and case studies for the commercialization process and during their work. And with that, I think the module 1 has to come to a very successful conclusion. I guess from my side, after seeing so many presentations, I guess the local resources are very huge storehouse. And the developing countries should really focus on and taking advantage of their own landing resources. And also, they should think of their own solutions to make the wells of themselves. Of course, it won't leave the help or the support from the government or the organizations, just like CSIR in South Africa, and so on. And secondly, I think we should very focus on our land, especially the agriculture, the human health, and to taking the knowledge to the farmers or to the local people. And also, this needs the knowledge transfer, and also the collaborations between the different diversity of the society, and to make a sustainable environment and also make a sustainable earth. And again, we would like to express our sincere gratitude to all the presenters, the guests, and our audience for the support. And thank you very much. And I think it's now the break and tea time and networking time. So we will have around 10 minutes to move on to the next module, the module 2. And now I guess it's about 3 o'clock, so we can get back to this meeting room at 10 past 3. Thank you very much.
Yes, I'll call you. Okay, yes, yes. Just take a seat, I'll call you. I think we should start now. Okay. Should we start? Yeah, I think we should, yeah. So otherwise, we are running behind time. Okay, welcome to Module 2 on stakeholder discussions, connecting local innovations to global impact. And I will be your facilitator for the session. And this session focus is representatives from government, private industry, academia, non-profit organizations who will be discussing key issues about protecting and commercializing indigenous knowledge, technologies so that both local and global stakeholders benefit while advancing sustainability. So we have two formal presentations, one from Prof. Eugenia Olguín. It's a recorded presentation, and she's from INECOL, Mexico, and that presentation will be followed by introductory presentation by Liliana Marin Montoya from CTA, Colombia. So shall we have the first presentation by Prof. Eugenia?
At the Institute in order to give you an idea of how the local innovation can impact globally. So first of all, a few words about our local problems in relation to water pollution, either in urban or rural areas. We all know that usually there is not enough infrastructure for wastewater treatment, so the wastewater goes directly into the rivers or lakes or whatever. So usually there is not enough funds for building conventional solutions, and also the conventional technologies are not always sustainable and not useful for small communities. So that's why we have developed nature-based solutions for counteracting water pollution and climate change at the local level. We are going to talk about 3 examples: floating treatment wetlands, in which we use a combination of papiro and Pontederia sagittata, the phytofiltration lagoons with Pistia stratiotes, and the biorefineries that we will speak in a few minutes more in detail. So when we are facing the problem of these extremely polluted ponds or lakes or rivers with all kinds of rubbish, we can build very simple structures with local material, very low-cost material, in which we put the plants inside these containers and make them float in the ponds. So I'm just giving more details about how these technologies can impact the Sustainable Development Goals. For example, in the case of the floating treatment wetlands, we can impact the SDG 6, the SDG 3, the SDG 11, and the 13. So we can remove with this kind of structures fecal coliforms, nitrates, and microplastics very effectively, and that depends on the season of the year. And also, these plants are able to sequester carbon as much as 66 or 77 tons per carbon per hectare. In the case of the phytofiltration lagoon, this is a very shallow pond in which we just put a lining, so the construction cost is very low. In our countries, that's figure, but it could vary. And the removal of organic matter is very effective. Also, other contaminants, as you can see, ammonium nitrogen, nitrates, and phosphates. So the third example is a biorefinery in which we have integrated first, as a first module, the phytofiltration lagoon, in which these plants are treating a very polluted river, and then the clean water coming out from the pond goes for the cultivation of microalgae. Actually, we've been working for many years with the spirulina, and the proper name is Artospira maxima, and this is a very valuable microalgae that can produce many different products, from biofertilizers to phycocyanin. So we are just using the model of circular economy, starting with wastewater and ending with a very valuable product. So the final word would be that local innovations from any country could impact many other regions if we use the network of WAITRO with all the RTOs that we are familiar with. Thank you very much.
The next speaker will be Liliana from Montoya. She's currently the innovation leader at the CTA, the regional focal point of WAITRO for Latin America and the Caribbean. She holds a master's degree in sustainable development from the University of Sussex in Brampton, UK, and a postgraduate degree in innovation for social and environmental transformation from the Universitat de Policia de Valencia in Spain. Mara is currently the university lecturer in innovation and strategy. Welcome, Mara.
Thank you, Professor Sechaba. Hello, everyone. I don't know if should I move it? Is it working? Yeah, this one? Yeah. So, hello, everyone. For us, for the CTA and from the Latin American RTOs, it's a pleasure to be here. As the professor said, we, the CTA, are the regional focal point of WAITRO for America Latina, Latin America, and the Caribbean. I have the job to present before to give some ideas about all this topic and ancestral knowledge, and also how technical knowledge coming from indigenous communities are really important for us before the panel. But before that, I just want to take some minutes to present the CTA. The CTA is a non-profit corporation organization from Colombia, We've been for over 35 years working in the science, technology, and innovation ecosystem from Colombia and also the Latin American region. We actually work designing and promoting the appropriation of knowledge. So this session, breakout session, is very important for us. Actually, we work in the SDH. We've been working in the SDH framework since before SDH came to us, right? In that sense, we have established 3 areas of work: learning and knowledge, value organizations, and sustainable territories. In this context, we actually can prove, and we are very certain, that innovation is not possible if we don't work together. Collaboration for us, for the CTA, is actually part of the process of the innovation. And it's not any kind of innovation, it's sustainable innovation, it's projecting us for the future, right? So, just to brief a little bit about the CTA, because I just have a couple of minutes. In this, our journey, what we have come is that ancestral knowledge, traditional knowledge, and nature intelligence is intertwined. It's interconnected, always. And we have inspired us ourselves, and we are using that knowledge for ages, at least in our region, in Latin America and the Caribbean. And we use it, we have be able to use it in the CTA to promote technologies, to promote the appropriation of knowledge. But this is not possible if we are not working in collaboration. And that means to respect the point of views of all the people that are be part of the innovation process. It's important also, and it's part of the process as well, to recognize that the context where are we working, and also we see value in all the ideas. In that sense, we, as a regional focal point in Latin America, we have actually we have seen this philosophy in most of the organizations in our region. And we try to bring to the summit 3 of the best case studies of the region, using and inspiring in ancestral knowledge and nature-based knowledge. The first one, I want to just summarize a little bit from one of the initiatives we have seen today. It's the one from INECOL, Eugenia Olguín, the one she was presenting in the recording. And they've been working in using nature wisdom for more than 30 years. It's a research that is actually helping to clean up water and wetlands. This is extremely important because at the end of the day, we need water to be alive, to be here. The second one, it was like the one that Laura just presented, Ecoflora. And for us, is the ancestral knowledge and the indigenous knowledge is very attached to our culture. So it's actually revolutionary, this initiative, Jaguar, is revolutionary, the supplier system. And that's what we want to live here, right? That the power of the innovation itself. And the last one, it was the Emmanuel Araya, the one from Costa Rica and CENAT. And again, it's how our ancestral knowledge, bringing back that ancestral knowledge is part of the the new ideas that we actually were using for ages before are taking, again, momentum and getting momentum. So agroecological system is getting like more popular today. So for us, it's very important to keep bringing these ideas. I know, well, we all know, and for the presentation that the Professor Sechaba did this morning, we all are very aware of the gaps and the challenges that brings to create innovation from ancestral knowledge, from indigenous knowledge, and the value of doing that. We know that, right? Because we are in a critical moment, climate crisis, social crisis, economical crisis, and ancestral knowledge became like powerful because it's there, it's been there for ages. And we were not like very like taking care of that when we have to do it. And I was thinking when all the presentations were done, what can we do actually as organizations, our RTOs, as WAITRO, right? And I don't want to step in, Professor Sechaba, but I want to raise a question for the panel. And I would like to ask, if you don't mind, how can we, as RTOs, or as organizations that are working in the real world with the real needs, can support the scaling up of traditional and indigenous technological knowledge? I think if we think a little bit more in depth of this, perhaps we can be more aware not only of all the knowledge that is there, but also be more conscious about how can we actually work towards sustainable development. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martha, for that, and I'll keep that question in mind. I hope my panelists have noted the question. It's a very important one. So, before we dwell into the discussions, let me call upon my panelists to the floor. Here I see we have 6 and we have 5 chairs.
Whoever catches first.
No, I think I'm going to call the ladies first. Yes, I'm going to call the ladies first. Maybe let me start with Laura. Laura Alzate. Oh, okay. But your name is on the list. Okay.
At the end of this page.
Oh. Oh, great. Okay. Apologies for that. Okay. Let me call upon Liu Ajun from Nanjing Agricultural University in China. Sit anyway. Yes. And then Shingirai Katsinde from HG&H Pharmaceuticals from South Africa. Julian Guifake from the University of Yode in Cameroon. And then lastly, Ras Jalinek, Ben-Gurion. I will stand. Okay. Welcome. I'm gonna start first with you, sir, to introduce yourself, where you come from, before, and then so do the rest of the panelists. Please introduce yourself, and then afterwards, and then we shall get into the discussion.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello everyone, my name is Eugenia. I'm from Nanjing Agricultural University. I'm an associate professor here. So basically I'm working in agriculture economy, so I'm working with farmers and SMEs. I also teach students. I teach plant marketing and also market research. And then I'm very happy to join you. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Katsinde. I am from the private sector, HG&H Pharmaceuticals in South Africa. I'm the technical manager at HG&H. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jalinek. I'm a chemist. I'm doing food chemistry. And I'm also the vice president for research of Ben-Gurion University, which is in Beersheba, Israel.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Julian Gefak from University of Yaoundé 1. I'm a seed pathologist and biochemist. And I'm here to replace a delegate who was supposed to be here, so it's not my field. I'll try my best.
Don't worry, we'll be lenient with you with the questions. So, from Martha's presentation, I think what came out, right? So she mentioned traditional knowledge, ancestral knowledge, nature-based knowledge, interchanging, right? And then also the importance in technology development. And she also mentioned the value of collaboration in promoting innovation, as well as technology development. So she emphasized those points through case studies that she shared with us. So she asked the question, maybe this question, let me see. Maybe let me put it later. I want to check something. Maybe let me start with the private sector, right? South Africa. So based on Martha's presentation, right, and your experiences, what are the key success factors that private sector companies should consider when investing in indigenous knowledge, technologies?
Success.
Yes, correct.
Okay. I think the major one for us has been collaboration. So understanding the need to collaborate strongly with the indigenous knowledge holders. For us, that has been a contributing factor. Understanding the need to respect them. Also collaboration with the departments, the relative departments that we work with. That has been the key to our success story.
Okay. So, Prof,
Yeah.
so your research is around agriculture, right?
Yeah.
Using specific plant species, which I believe they've got strong links to communities, right? In your research at the universities, really, how have you been successful in collaborating with your communities to inform the type of research that you are doing?
Thank you for the question. First of all, University of Yaoundé 1 doesn't have that policy of protecting indigenous or collaborating. But the chance I have was the project is undergoing with EU later, Soigba. And we got the chance to work together with farmers. And what we did is we compare conventional with on-farmer practices, organic or still conventional. So when we met some, they were using some plant like Titonia diversifolia. Yeah. And they were using also poultry manure. But the problem is that some were using raw poultry manure without composting, which were infecting the field. So we guide up them to compost. And then together we also bring our protocol, organic and conventional. And at the end, the farmer was supposed to choose the best method. That's what we did. But since the government doesn't help to scale up, we couldn't provide the money to scale up and sell. They were willing to buy the product or to be formed. We cannot form them, and we cannot use our money to. So what some just get from the collaboration was that the use of pure maceration of leaves, which is simple. They adopted that technology. And some who were not composting cow dung or poultry manure, they were composting. But the problem of composting is the gas, the CO2 emission. So now if they follow that composting, it will impact on the climate change. So we need, to help them to use another process like bio digesting. Yeah, but we need money for that.
Of course, innovation is cash.
Yeah.
Right? For us to be able to innovate, we need financing. So coming to you from China's experience, also you're from the agricultural side. Okay. Yes. So how has been possible for you really, maybe linking the question that I asked the Prof there, because she's from Cameroon in Africa, and then from Chinese in Asia. So do you also experience similar experiences as Prof from Cameroon in terms of approaching the research involving communities?
Yes, I think this is anyway, I'm not in economics, so I'm more focused about how the agriculture can make money. But I my university have very good linkage.
Yeah. Okay. But at my university, we are into promotion cooperation with the countryside. So we always have the experimental trial sites, and we also, close working with the farmers, agribusiness. I think do a lot of work, and they also learn a lot from the farmer side. Just like recently, China also promotion green sustainable development. So there's one, top research fellow. He also working with farmers, try to see how the bio chemicals could be used. In the field, because actually, China farmers, we are big population, so people have tried a lot. They know how to use all the manure and how to make a sustainable, development. People are concerned about that, and also, nowadays people are also concerned about market. So they know consumer needs something is food safety. So they also inquire the agribusiness to produce bio, manure for the inputs. So anyway, we try to do a lot of cooperation with the farmer. That's very important, yeah.
Okay. No, thank you so much. Maybe as a follow-up, so cooperation with the farmers. So what kind of maybe legal framework you have with the farmers? Yes. Yeah. If you are working with the farmers, is it an ad hoc or do you formalize your collaborations with the farmers?
Yeah. Anyway, because for me, I'm just the economics. Basically, we just do an interview
and we try to, summarize what we have done. So for me, it's easier. But as I know, my colleagues, scientists, when they do the field trials, they have agreement. So we say we will do some experiment with you. So we will have certain agreement, try to, protect the rights of the farmers and also university.
Okay. So, Prof, from your side, can you share some more insights into the legal framework that you have with the farmers that you involve in your research?
I said that the government policy doesn't, they don't have any policy. That's the case I'm raising is because I was involved with the EU project. So in Cameroon, there's no policy, regulation on interacting with indigenous farmers.
Okay, so there is no national policy.
No, there's no national
that guide
policy.
the process of interacting with the farmers.
No. Even in traditional medicine, it's not.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
Maybe.
So maybe at the institutional level, at the university level.
Yeah.
So do you have any legal agreements to formalize those collaborations? Because as Martha mentioned, collaboration is key to innovation. So how do you ensure that you sustain those collaborations? Maybe at the institutional level, not at the country's level.
I'm not the one making the law. So I cannot. I'm just a lecturer, researcher. They have to set that up there. We are not, so it doesn't exist so far.
Okay.
It doesn't exist.
No, thank you. Now, coming from financing innovation, right? So what do you think are the financial barriers to the development and scaling up of these technologies that are informed by indigenous knowledge?
Well, you always need money. But actually, I want to refer to your previous question, which is, I think it's very important on an institutional level to support these kind of collaborations, because I think the university has a role, it has a duty to support, wide-scale collaborations with other stakeholders, not only just researchers. And actually, from hearing these very interesting talks earlier, I think I realized something very important, which is also related to what you were asking all the people here, which is the fact that the really very special things that we saw, they all happened in a community. And I think this is something very, very important, because there was research. People discovered molecules, they discovered materials that were good for health. But the power of these discoveries happened because there was a community that helped to promote this, that provided these knowledge throughout history, but also now. And this is actually also relevant to the question that Martha, you were asking about, is upscaling. I think the key to upscaling any technology, at least in this context of indigenous ideas and indigenous materials and foods, etc., is when you have a community that mobilize, that contributes. There's always very big power in a community. Researchers in universities, they're very lonely. They can do many things, but if you want to have a real impact, which is what we saw here in these very interesting lectures, it comes from a community, from a large number of people in a village, in a town, in a tribe, whatever, but that was really the key for success in all these things that we saw earlier.
Indeed, indeed, and I can sense the feeling in the house that a lot of people are in agreement with you. However, there are challenges such as trust in working with these communities, right? In formulating these R&D programs, coming up with innovations. Trust is one of the key challenges, particularly from the community side. They will often say, you
You are going to take my idea.
you are
Steal.
here again.
To steal.
You are going to steal my knowledge. That's the language they use,
Yeah.
right? They use it, they are brutally honest, right? So from the especially private sector, because private sector is driven by making profit, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. They need to sustain, that's where innovation is taking place, and that's how they create jobs, right? So when collaborating, right, with this community, particularly from your case, Zambia, working with the South African San communities, right? So how do you manage, from the private sector perspective, manage to overcome this issue of trust? How do you deal with it?
Transparency. So we have constant communication and with the council. We are engaged. There is transparency even in our financials about profits made, since we pay royalties based on a percentage of the profits. But transparency is important. So there is continuous engagement with the community through the council, and with the community and the council through the department. If we don't do that, then we will definitely lose them. So there's a lot of transparency, there's a lot of engagement. So I'm not sure, but if you remember in my slides, there is actually a photo there where the council had come to one of our farms just to see what the production is like. We do visit them often. They also come to our offices, they go to our production sites. There is a lot of engagement that happens, and that allows them to trust us. There is also opportunities for engagement, even with the communities, that we allow. There is always open communication. So for us, trust is based on transparency. It's based on the kind of relationships that we have built over the years. So it's not just about the financial aspect, it's also about community engagement. So we do also try to engage in the programs that they do as the council for their communities. That is how we've maintained trust throughout the years.
Maybe let me come to you. Thank you so much. Let me come to you now. You are the economist, right? So let's monetize these collaborations, right? So she mentioned that they are completely opened when they are engaging with the communities, and the financials are being disclosed, right? Say now, we have successfully commercialized the technologies on the market. It's performing very well and generating the revenue. So how do we really ensure that the communities or the farmers that Prof are working with are fairly and equitably monetized in benefit sharing agreement? I know it. Yeah.
Anyway, as being to the community, they need to, of course, sorry, I just.
The collaborations, how do we ensure that they are fair from monetary terms on part of the communities? They are sharing their knowledge with you, which informs your research to come up with the technologies that you commercialize. So from the fair and equitable sharing of benefits, how do we ensure that the communities are fairly monetized from the commercialization of technologies informed by the community knowledge, community indigenous knowledge, or community traditional knowledge, or community ancestral knowledge, whatever you may call it. Yes.
I think communication is very important. We need to carry on as the benefit of this kind of cooperation, the carry on as the market needs, and carry on if you participate in the communicate what kind of benefits. Of course, we have clear agreement about what you can benefit from this kind of work. At the same time, I think it's important also to do some corporate responsibility. For example, to have them to the school or maybe have them to study together, how we can improve their productivity, and this kind of work to make sure that we are thinking that we are better for the community. Yeah. There is a big problem in that most localities are small farmers and big market. So that means very good we need to deal with the farmers. There are so many, sometimes it can be complicated.
So, and it means maybe you need to think about, okay, how the institutions are in the farmers. If it's a tribe, it's better talking with the head, right? So if it's a village, you need talking with the village leader. If you're cooperative, it's better to working with the cooperative because they know their people. So they can tell you what you can do for them. So it's easier to communicate. It's not just like we just go to farmer talk. No, that's very complicated. Yeah, to make change.
Yes, yeah. Benefit sharing, very important. Yes. Transparency with communities, right? So I see you have you want to throw in something.
No, actually,
You want to add?
Yeah, I want to add to this.
Okay.
It's a
Please
very
go
good
ahead.
question, actually. But you see, we're not here for one time or one project. Like, you have contact with the farmers for maybe 30 years. If you lose their trust, then you will not get another opportunity to do something big, which is actually a very good way to maintain trust. And the bottom line is that it all comes down to people. If you're an honest person and if you share the money that the technology makes with the people you got it from, just like you described in your case, you went to these two communities and you gave them these royalties that this company in the UK or somewhere provided. And so if you're honest and if you're not cheating on your collaborators, then things will work out.
Absolutely, I fully agree. So, Prof, let me go. Okay, yeah, because I was going to ask you a question. Please. Oh, okay. Do you want to add before I ask you a question?
Yeah. The small project we have with soya. When the first thing was that we visited many farmers, many farms. The one we had degraded, lowly degraded, and very highly degraded. So your son should fit one of those. And then we gave all the entrance, maize because it was maize, we gave fertilizer, we gave everything. So you have to crop and see and do everything. The field, you have to do it. That is you. And then at the end, we just come and take some soil for analysis and take like 10 maize for yield. And then you are there with your crop. So where it has performed very well, you are the one gaining. So we didn't give some money for them to work well. We said we give all the entrance and then you work in the field and it's your property. That's
Go,
how
Prof. Here we go.
Yeah.
It's like you read my mind. I was going to ask you from the university perspective because You are not making profit.
No, no. Yeah.
You are in the business of conducting research.
Yeah.
You are teaching.
Yeah.
You are producing publications,
Yeah.
right? So I was going to ask from the publication perspective, how do you ensure that these farmers that you are working with are recognized in the publications that you produce as part of benefit sharing? I understand that, which is fantastic, that you are providing them with the fertilizers and so forth, right? So let's stretch this further to research publications.
Research publication, I don't think it's not like medicinal plants where you go to a traditional plant and then you take a plant. It's totally different. We bring our organic fertilizer. We are the one who bring to you. So you don't have anything. You just, you are going to gain just the yield of the crop you are cropping. So I don't think you own something on the publication.
Okay. Yes.
Am I right?
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Because I understand from the researchers, they say, I've put a lot of effort into writing the publications and so forth.
No, I think in that.
So, all right.
I think for medicinal plant, I don't know how they do, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe let me just open the question to the floor to find out, do you have any comments and questions? Please introduce your name and the institution you come from.
Thank you. Jonathan from Kibabi University in Kenya. I'm happy to follow this from morning up to now. And my concern is, as we talk about sharing the benefits with the community, and I want to speak to your specific case where you had 6 million rand coming to the CSR project. Yeah, the CSR. How did you calculate the sharing ratio? And once again, is it in kind? Is it in cash? And then for the panelists, what do you say about mentorship? Because when you're running this work, we have students coming in, and I perceive that to be a community benefit. Yeah, thank you.
So maybe should I allow the panelists to respond and then?
I can answer your question in terms of the monetary value. So with us, there's a legal framework that we work with, and there's lawyers involved. So it's just based on a percentage of profit, but there is lawyers involved, there's departments involved in the negotiation of the percentage profits that is given back to the communities. Because we're private sector, we're obviously working for profit, but we also need to pay back. So the royalties are purely based on negotiations from lawyers from the government, from the South African Sun Council, and from us as an organization. And they come to an agreement of what exactly the communities are going to get. And because it's not one community, we do not pay directly to the community, we go through the government. The government will make sure that the communities are compensated fairly.
Okay, maybe quickly, it's the same principle that we follow, right? So as researchers, we work closely with our legal office, and they are involved in the negotiation process. So in that process, information such as the R&D spending is being revealed. If there are patents, how much are we spending on maintaining those patents? All that information, is being revealed to them. And CSIR, we also have the benefit sharing formula for the organization, and then we use that to calculate the percentage based on the information that has been put on the table. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Thank you. My name is Kwaramba Philemon. I'm from CSIR DC in Zimbabwe. I want to comment on your earlier sentiment to say universities research and publish. In our country, they've changed the policy. They say education 5.0. So even the acts of establishment have been reviewed to include what we are talking about, Araya research and research commercialization. So it's something that is changing. Then I also want to share some personal experience as we commercialized some of our products. We have drought-tolerant varieties of maize that were developed through funding from the Dutch. So what then they did is they developed up to certain lines. Then the funding stopped. Then the center continued to cross to create hybrids that are drought-tolerant. And that have been then demonstrated on the market to be far much better than the existing technology. And of course, through molecular marker selection. What we are now seeing is the IP issues. There were donors. The team that crossed is another team. We now have 7 commercial products. And when we sold last year, we raised about $3 million US. In terms of, so what we are now saying is, should we go back and say we're part of this, or we just move from now going forward? But in terms of benefit sharing, obviously, the farmers are now benefiting from an improved product. Then the industry is also benefiting. But there's a commercial company. It's an issue again that we are saying, probably we should have designed it better. But there were so many layers of players. Donors, past researchers, I'm sure some of them are in CSIR, they are saying we want to come back for our share. So it's an issue again that is, when it's creating impact, it also raises some stories. But at the same time, communities are already benefiting. So that's why.
Thank you so much, sir. So you raised IP issues. I think maybe let's do it deeper. If we still have enough time. How much time do we still have? 10 minutes. Quickly, I want you maybe, if you can, maybe from the IP perspective, how do we manage the IP from this delicate space that you are operating in? Indigenous systems, human beings involved, who are the indigenous knowledge holders, communities, farmers, right? So Prof from the research space, her business is to conduct research, produce papers, because it's a university basis required. So from the IP, how do we manage that, the IP issues?
Well, IP is very important. In my university is a big department that is responsible for IP issues, and it's sometimes sensitive, but if you have good lawyers, then they can find how to generate IP even from indigenous knowledge. And if you can do that, I think that's a win-win, because then you have IP that you can build on and commercialize and get income coming. And also this IP can belong to several people, even to a community, if legal framework allows that.
Okay, from private sector, right, also from IP, who owns the intellectual property?
So in our case, it's the company. It's the main company. We also have an investor company who owns the majority shareholding in the company. So they own the IP. However, the IP is not it's on certain elements that we have developed over time. So there is an element there where it's purely based on research that we came to a conclusion that this is patented, so we need to patent it. And I think it is important because without that, we cannot monetize it enough to be able to give back. There's that important element as well, because there's a lot of varieties on the market, but they do not produce the effect that we need to be able to monetize it. So in our case, it's very important to have the patents in place.
Thank you. So, as an economist, right, so from the business model perspectives of indigenous knowledge systems, Martha presented 3 cases, right? So, but she did not dwell too much on the business models, right? But from your perspective, what would be the most appropriate business models to commercialize the intellectual property that is emanating from research and development informed by indigenous knowledge?
Okay, I think it's the most important. We need to. It's better to, I mean, clear about the IP and who own it. And totally, in the past of time, we also suffered a lot. Sometimes it's difficult to see. So that's why in China recently we also do like that. One is that we have one system. We said we try to create the talent in rural area. So we encourage young people that you are trying to, I mean, learn, try to, I mean, do what the ancestors have done to summarize it, so become a researcher. So in China nowadays, a big farmer, I mean, young guys, they also can become a researcher. They also get some funding from the government. So it's one way. Another one, recently we also try to promote, we call it intangible heritage. So we recognize that some, I mean, people, they are working in the village, they are the talent, so they are, I mean, the representative of the intangible heritage. So the government will give them the, I mean, the reputation. So when we try to, I mean, transferring the engineer's knowledge or the IP to this group, so later when we go there, we can talk with these guys, with the local, I mean, the countryside researcher or countryside, I mean, someone he already learned from the previous answer about some technicals. We do like that.
So before we close, maybe let's come back to Martha's question, right? So I think it's going to summarize the entire discussion. So I'll start with you, Prof. So scaling up these technologies, you are working with the farmers, doing research, publishing, and so forth. So how do you think from your perspective, right, how can we scale up this technology, like the research publication that you have produced, right? It's a knowledge. So how do we scale it up to a tangible technology, and then how that can be supported? Is it difficult?
In the philosophy of Soigat, it was the philosophy of Soigat. We were supposed to, at the end of the project, give the result to the government, and the government would produce a policy on organic agriculture. That was the end point. So from that project in Europe, they will make some proposition to the government, to European Union, so that in all the country, it's the same methodology we use for agriculture. That is the target point.
Okay, that is upscaling.
Yeah.
Okay. Same question?
Well, I hope I'm going to answer the question. But I think, something that I learned from your question, from in general, I'm not an economist, you're an economist. But when you're in economics, you need a relative advantage. Yes, you need an edge in order to be competitive and to make money more than your competitors. I think indigenous technologies is something that gives an edge to the global south and to many countries and institutions that not necessarily go and publish many papers, many scientific papers, and getting a lot of grant money, which is also something that you mentioned, is financing, and do all these methodology of modern advanced science. I think we saw in this afternoon that there's many instances of very successful initiatives, very successful companies that are built on a different concept, slightly different concept, not just pure research that eventually leads to some inventions, but a smart and elegant way to exploit indigenous technologies.
Prof is not entirely happy with your perspective. Maybe Prof, quickly.
I
Okay,
think
let's
we
hear.
are here to improve the indigenous technology because it has some limit. And you researcher, we need to improve and to tell them this way you are going to face this problem. We just improve, but if you are saying we just take that and do as they are doing, we are not happy.
No, of course we don't take what you're doing. You take it and you use it. You take some knowledge that was in a community, in a tribe, in a village for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
That's your advantage. You take it,
Yeah.
you go to a researcher like Sechaba,
Yeah.
who finds the molecules,
Yeah.
that has the connection with some company in some different country,
Yeah.
makes the agreement,
Yeah.
get the IP, and you got
But in
some
case
product.
it has some problem, I need to solve that problem.
Life is always full of
Before-
problems. And you solve them.
Okay.
Yes.
Public sector. Yes, upscaling. How can we upscale these technologies?
I liked a word that Prof used, in a competitive edge. In our case, it's regulatory hurdles. So for us to be able to scale up and for people to understand, I liked what Martha said about NGOs. We need to be able to get over certain regulatory hurdles. Currently, we can sell in certain markets, such as the United States, South Africa, etc. We can't sell in the European Union yet because we need registration by the name of a novel food registration. That process takes at least 3 years.
Costly.
It's a very expensive exercise to do. We don't have registration in Asia. We want to come into China. We want to go into New Zealand, Australia. So regulations inhibit, they don't necessarily inhibit, but they're a big hurdle into us getting into new markets and exploring new markets and being able to inform new markets, informing people, informing organizations on the goodness of the product. I mean, it's a good mental health product, and a lot of people will benefit from it because it's natural, it's organic, it's very clean, it's very safe. I would not want to compare it to hardcore medicines, but there is good reviews throughout the United States, which is our biggest market. But the regulatory hurdles that we face throughout the world make it extremely hard for us to upscale and share this knowledge with a lot of the people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now you are bringing another point. The regulatory requirements and the challenges to overcome those. So that is a big issue. And harmonization, maybe this is what we need. If you pass your regulatory requirements in China, it should automatically be acceptable in Japan, in Hong Kong, and so forth. So coming back, economist, money.
I think
From the upscaling perspective, maybe give us the values.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. I think it's most important, for business, we have to know the market. That's very important because most of the company working with engineers knowledge are small scales, SMEs. It's very hard for them to, do everything. So for the most important, they need to know the trend of the, market. Then they identify of the value chain to see which is the most important part. Then they do the investment, not everything. And most of the SME, when you're working in the countryside, problem is of the small farmers. So you need to, say a certain of the organization of the, how can you organize the farmers together? For example, in order to maintain of the quality, you cannot just, working with one farmer. Maybe you need to certify a group of farmers. Or maybe you need to organize a cooperative. Then it will be easier for you to control the quality, maintain the sustainability of the quality. That's very important. That's more important than others. Yeah, most of them, I think, they need to, not only focus on local market, but also need to go to the regional market. It also need to go to the international market, for example. Because for something, maybe only a niche market, for example, when in Europe we are talking about animal welfare, in China nobody cares, right? So when you talk about sustainability, we need to know where are the market. So for a market, then we go back, maybe say, okay, maybe traditional medicine is better. So we can try that. Then we will focus on this market of USA or somewhere, so you can get your value back. Otherwise, very hard to survive.
Absolutely, market intelligence, very, very, very important. How much time, maybe if I can allow? Oh, we have 20 minutes. Yeah, we have so many. Okay, so let me allow my beautiful audience to engage as well. So I recognize you.
Thank you. Hello, I am Joe from the National University of Malaysia. So when we talk about IP, right, I was thinking that being protected, that technology may be limited, okay? Meaning that now you have protected this technology, that the indigenous technology that has been protected, it may not be able to be marketed there'll be many hurdles that we have to go through for it to be marketed and to go back to the community. So what is your thought on this?
Thank you for that. Is it a comment, right? Oh, okay. Any response? Anyone?
I'll again speak from
Yes.
private sector.
Yes.
So protection for us means protection, especially of investment. For us to be able to have a good quality product, it took more than 10 years to understand the product, to study the product. We have about 8 clinical trials, and most of them are done in Europe. We're a South African company, so there's a lot of investment that has gone into the development of this innovation so that it's a marketable product. So for us, it's important that we protect at least the investment for now. And for us to be able to do that is through intellectual property investment protection. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to protect an indigenous knowledge product because it's indigenous knowledge. But what we have done with it is innovate further to make it patent applicable or patent worthy. But I think it's mostly about the investment that has already gone into the product. I mean, if you look at toxicology studies, those are extremely expensive. And if you really want to have a good quality product proven to be safe, you have to protect your investment either way.
Fully agree. Like for instance, phase 1 clinical trial. You know how much it costs in South Africa? 15 million rands just for phase 1 to investigate toxicity. So,
Hi, I'm Patrick Dias from CSIR, Australia. I just want to bring in a different perspective looking at the topic and share experience. It's not only IP related issue, I think this matter. I would say in Australia we had a very successful a number of researchers got involved with the indigenous communities without any, but contributing highly beneficial aspect of controlling bushfires. There is no benefit for, in the sense, there is no IP or anything, but it was a very difficult exercise in trying to manage the cultural inheritance details and so on. I think which is also very important in that aspect. I just want to make a comment on that.
indeed, think I saw, was it you? No. Okay. So, all right.
No. Erico, come with your eye. I want to talk to you. Come. That presentation was sent. I'm not going to present.
This is the panel. Okay. All right. Okay, let's continue. Any comments on the floor before we get into the business side of things, the business strategies? We spoke about the business commercialization models, right? So from the business side of things, right, like as a business, what appropriate strategies must be put in place to ensure that we successfully commercialize the indigenous technologies and benefit the indigenous communities?
Yeah, it's all the same. And if you want to, put things, you need to have profit. You can get profit, and means you need to have someone to buy your product or service. So actually, even in the same group, maybe you also have someone who focus on certain level of needs. For example, maybe just basic needs. So I just need product. But again, another one maybe said, okay, I need good quality one. Another one, they said, okay, I will need a gift. Just like maybe we are talking about use the traditional medicine to make the makeup, whatever. That means you need to show it as a gift. And another high-income group, maybe they said, okay, I like something luxury. Luxury means from history, king seek luxury, right? For king, maybe different. So in every market have this kind of needs. Even maybe we are not in USA. Again, in the same market, we need to identify who are your niche market. Maybe you are in university, in urban area, maybe you are in some region. So you need to focus on this group, right, to see what it really needs. If you think it's a gift, it means even it's just a simple thing, you need packaging, branding, like this kind of stuff. So this is one thing. Another one is that maybe you still find it's very hard to find the market. Then you think about, okay, maybe I go to export, right? Another market, or maybe you are using another approach, tradition to reduce the cost, just like we compare with chemicals, and we use the traditional way can reduce the chemical use. So this the farmer will like it. Why? Save the cost. So the farmer will like it, right? And maybe you can also try simple. Maybe you have a certain kind of, marketing channel, or maybe you organize something. Just for example, nowadays, maybe I cannot go to USA, but I can use transport e-commerce, right? Maybe they will love our product. Last month I with some farmer in China. They are doing, cross-border e-commerce. There's some handicrafts. They are selling cross-border e-commerce. It's possible. So you can think about, okay, how can you have a new resource? Maybe you have new organization. Maybe you have a new market. These kind of things will help you to make profit. Anyway, you must be specific. Not just, okay, I have money, I investment. Otherwise, you will have a lot of problem. And in the countryside, big problems is need to solve problems for small farmers. Maintain quality, and also just like we said, the transferring of the knowledge. What is the best thing? That means we need to understand different country, different culture, and different things. And means when you are doing business here, you need to really understand about the situation and make it properly. So I follow the ecosystem. This is very important, right? I want to make another level. So I think this will be helping to do this.
No, thank you so much. This morning, so we have heard of co-creation of knowledge, right? In addition to collaboration, not just collaborate, but we collaborate with the intention. We co-create the knowledge. in refining the business models to ensure that you mentioned that you have put a lot of investment, you need to recoup your investment, company has to be sustainable, you need to make your investors happy, and so forth. But the technology is informed by indigenous knowledge of the communities out there, right? So do you take that issue into consideration when refining your business models? Do you just maybe do it in arm's length for community? I mean, how does it play out from the private sector?
So there is a lot, I did mention that there's a lot of collaboration that happens, but there is a lot of assessment on impact. That's why I really liked the innovation to impact conversation, because in the past 2 to 3 years, well, since COVID-19 happened, what we realized is that there is a need for mental wellness products, and in 2020 was our biggest sale year ever because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So we've been trying to assess what kind of impact as a company we have, right? So social impact, mental wellness impact globally. And we've diversified our marketing efforts to include the communities. So we actually have more engagements with them to try and understand what else we can learn about this product, because you cannot be too well informed. So it's not just about the communities that inform our indigenous knowledge, it's also about everyone else. So we do a lot of stakeholder meetings with the departments, with the communities, with our distributors around the world. Our marketing efforts are about the impact that we can make. So it's not just about profits, it's about mental wellness and where we find ourselves as a company in the global arena. What can we do to make the world a better place in terms of mental wellness? And that informs our business strategies for growth.
I want to add another input to your question. And actually, this is related to our hosts here, JITRI. Nice. Because in order to succeed in business, or starting a business from community, there is this death valley. It's this period that you need a lot of resources in order to get to initial approval. And for this, you need a very dedicated government agencies usually that can support the research, the concept, throughout the years until it gets to the stage where real investors are going to come in and put big money. So this is actually, I think, if governments or organizations that are not necessarily investors, not necessarily business type of organizations, but more like government or philanthropic organizations that can support this period, research period, that takes the idea that comes from the community, the indigenous community, into a prototype or an early product, then that can be something that is very important.
Yeah, most often the investors do not want to invest in early research. It's too risky because it is exploratory and so forth. So, Prof?
Yes, I'm not a business what?
No. You are a business person, Prof. In your academic space, that's
Okay.
business.
Yeah, any project I initiate,
yes,
it should be inclusive and innovative.
Yes.
Inclusive, I'll produce excellent product, but affordable. That means the poor should buy the same product and at the same price. That's my philosophy. And that's why when we are looking for biofertilizer or biopesticide, we look for wheat, we look for waste, because we produce high quality of entrance from nothing. From nothing. Just at the end, my byproducts are cheaper than the conventional ones. And in quality, there's no comparison.
Now you have just brought another dimension now. Affordability of the final product, pricing strategy, private sector, economists. This is your forte. I mean, I don't know how is that. I don't know. I'm just a researcher. But I do have a basic understanding, but I don't know how you go. How do you go about it? Because I believe that pricing strategy of the final product or the percentage of the royalties you have negotiated with the licensee will impact on the benefits that go to the communities, right? So I want us to close that and then ask the last question while Paul is here from WAITRO, because we are here also to provide some recommendations, I believe, on the way forward for WAITRO to improve in its business when it comes to indigenous technologies and global impact. But just close this. I like this, affordability. What is affordability? How do you measure that, right? And then from the business point of view, maybe let me start with you and then Shingirai. Yeah. How affordable is the final product? Is even in the licensing agreement for royalties with the licensee, the royalties that you get, are they fair? I don't know. But from the business perspective, Prof mentioned very fundamental thing, because it's like it's coming from the social sciences, thinking about people. People need to afford this, right? For them to sustain themselves, because this technology is based on their indigenous knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. But actually, everything is designed by the market.
Market, it's very hard to survive.
Yeah.
So what we can do, we need to find our own niche market. Not everyone will love to buy our product, but we can find someone who love to pay a high price. For example, when you have better income, you already have enough food, you will looking for something, luxury, right? You are thinking it's different. So you love to have something natural, you have something it's good for sustainable development. You need to find this kind of group, while maybe not go to the local market. So this is very important. We never expect everyone to buy it. And cheaper doesn't mean good. It depends on, who love to buy it. So high price doesn't mean bad, because someone will like it. But we just need to find it, who are our consumer. That's why we do a lot of market survey, try to see, okay, so who are our consumer? Maybe a lady, maybe a high income, maybe high educated, or maybe someone has certain characters. Maybe he would like to pay something for his personal preference. That is very affordable. Not just, a normal people. We need to find a niche market. Yeah.
As a pharmacist, we focus more on potency and efficacy, safety, tolerability. Affordability is definitely a factor, but our main aim is to provide a safe product for the market. There's definitely markets for products. I cannot speak to the affordability of the product, but I can speak to the efficacy and the potency. Yeah.
Yes, because I also understand that by conducting clinical trials, it's going to shoot the price of the final product up. Okay? Maybe quickly in brief.
Well, I'm in a position that at a university, I don't need to make money for investors. But what's important for me, and I think can be important for everybody, is to do good things for people. And if you do good things, then you're going to take care of the business, you can take care of the money, the affordability, and the overall happiness in the world.
So now in closing, I think we are left with 2 or 1 minute. Yeah, maybe in short, 20 seconds, how can WAITRO facilitate indigenous technologies for global impact?
Yeah, we took indigenous solution for agriculture, and we developed a product. And it's ready, and it's already ready to go to industry. So if WAITRO can finance, we could write a proposal. We could write a proposal within WAITRO where we will apply the same technology to farmers and then have the outcome.
So you need more funding.
And more partners.
Or more partners.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good one. Yes.
Just this session, this session, this breakout session, that's the best thing to bring people together, talk about these things, get ideas, find partners. That's what WAITRO can do for this.
I agree. I was going to talk about small to medium enterprises and engagement such as this. This will definitely open up doors for small players out there.
Share the information, share the knowledge.
Oh, fantastic. So, no, thank you so much. Please give our panelists a warm. Yes. So I think what came out here, because Martha laid out the foundation, very beautiful foundation, collaborations, and then you are closing with the same concept. And then also that, okay, we are here to collaborate, and then also co-creation of knowledge. Let us not forget that. Very important, and let's try to integrate it into our operations, in our respective organizations, particularly where communities are involved. Let's find ways to effectively work with them to ensure that we have these indigenous technologies to have global impact. Thank you so much, and then you have been great. Have a good day. Yeah, thank you.